Alrighty folks, and welcome back to another Britgrid intermediate Blender class. So without further ado, I'm going to start Blender. I had a query from one of the students, one of the learners, about how he can do some baking. So I've got his file that he sent me here, and I'll step through it. I know we've covered this before, but I think it's good to sometimes cover some, something you've done before, just to get it stuck into your head so you can remember it. So you can see this file here. If I go into kind of render mode, you can see that this mesh has got materials applied to it, which is great. You can see all the materials there, and you can also see that we've got an image that it's linking to, and I believe it's got, if I go to the UV editor, which I'm already in, maybe it would help if I'm in, there we go, edit mode. You can see that it has a UV map. Right, before we start, let's just clear something up. Oh, I best put my shortcut keys on as well. There we go. Apologies for that. I noticed that when I got the file, if I go into the render properties, you can see that we're set to Eevee. Now Eevee is great for visualization. It's nice and fast to get renders, not bad quality, does a lot of stuff that Cycles will do, but you can't do texture baking with it. So first thing to do, we want to change that to Cycles, and because I've got a 3D graphics card, I'm going to select that GPU compute so that my 3D card, I happen to have an NVIDIA card which works quite nicely with Blender, speeds it up a little bit. So having said that, we've now turned on to Cycles, and you can see if we go down the render properties list, you can see that there's a bake option here. We'll get to that in a minute, but before we do that, we need to make sure our materials are set up correctly. So what I'm going to do is, well, before I even do that, I'm going to create a new image. So we can just go image new. I'm going to give it a grey colour. I don't like it being black for some reason, and just take the tick off alpha and say OK. 1024 is fine. It's called Untitled, which is also fine. So now we've got our texture that we can bake to. So carrying on. Now what I'm going to do is go to the shader editor. Get rid of that panel, we don't need that. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, just a little bit. And I'm going to go up to the top of the materials list, to the very first one. Now I've got Node Wrangler enabled, and if you haven't enabled that, if you go to the file settings, no, I'm lying. If you go to the edit settings and then to preferences, you can type in here under add-ons, just type in the word node, and you can see Node Wrangler. So it's just a case of putting a tick in the box, saving the preferences, and then you'll be able to do what I'm just about to do, which is, to each one of these materials I'm going to add in a texture node. And to do that, if you've got the Node Wrangler enabled, you can press Control and T. Oh, and I think you might have to highlight the BSDF, but Control and T should do it. There we go. And that's hooked it up. It doesn't actually need to be hooked up into the base color. In fact, I'm gonna unhook it, and then we just need to choose the untitled texture image that we created a minute ago, and we need to just highlight that node to make sure that it's selected. In fact, we need to select all of those. I'm just going to copy those so I can right click and go copy. So that is that first material set up for the baking. Now we've basically just got to step through all these other materials, and I can do a straightforward paste, noticing that the texture is still selected on each one. So I'm just pasting them in, working my way through. Gets a bit repetitive, but luckily I think there's a limit of 8 textures, 8 UVs on a single mesh in OpenSim Second Life. So that's all done now. So great. We can switch back to our UV editor. There it is. And now what we'll do is we'll just go over here to the render properties, and if we go down to the bake settings, we want to bake, we're going to do a bake type diffuse, and we can take off the light influence settings, don't need them. We've just got colour selected, and in theory we should be able to press the bake button and it should work. Let's give it a go. There we go, we can see it counting up at the bottom of the screen. Bump, and we're done. And basically that's it. You would not entirely it, you would save that image, so we could do external data automatically pack into the blend file, and it's saying file hasn't been found. Fair enough. We'll save that. I could just save it to my desktop, probably untitled PNG, that's fine, don't care what it's called. If we go back to the shader editor, what we can now do is we could remove this principled. Well, we don't need to do that, actually. I'm lying again. What we can do is we can connect all of these. Whoops, don't want to move the output node. Don't want to move the output node. Let's undo that. So, sorry, it's not very clear what I'm doing here. Ooh, let me just change that window a little bit and make sure I've got that selected. Right. So, we can now connect in to the base color from our texture, and I'm starting at the bottom one, I think, so edge 02, yeah, you can see it at the top there, slot 7, so we can just work our way up, just selecting them into the base color, and that will replace the color with the UV map, the material color with the UV map that we've just created, hopefully. We've got a frame one there, stick that in. We've got a material, stick that in. And now what we should be seeing is, if I go back to my UV editor, I should be seeing, we should be seeing the UV map. And we could check that. By what could we do? I wonder if we went to image editor. That lets us do annotations. Does it let us do painting? I thought it let us do painting. View paint. Yeah, so I don't know what colour I've got selected, but if I draw on it, you can see that what we're seeing here in the 3D window is in fact our UV map, because we connected the UV map into the material nodes. Okay, well, I hope you found that useful. It was good for me to cover it myself, because I'd kind of forgotten most of what we'd done before. So there you have it. That's how to bake using cycles to a UV map. Right, okay, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I would ask you to like and subscribe if you're able to. Keep your eye on the Blender Intermediate YouTube channel for any new videos and such like. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.